The vision has fallen. Bronson Reed cut all ties after Bron Breakker vicious attack on WWE Raw. You know what infuriates me? The audacity of some of you sitting there acting shocked that Bronson Reed turned on Bron Breakker. Where were you the last month? Were you not watching the same show? Were you not paying attention to the body language, the tension, the obvious fractures forming in their alliance? And now you're flooding social media with "I didn't see this coming" and "WWE ruined another team." What we witnessed on Monday Night Raw wasn't a betrayal, it was inevitable. It was a volcano that's been building pressure for weeks finally erupting in the most brutal fashion possible. Bronson Reed didn't just cut ties with Bron Breakker, he tried to end his career with one of the most vicious attacks in recent WWE history. And if you think this wasn't expertly foreshadowed and brilliantly executed, then you don't understand storytelling at all. The vision has fallen. The alliance is destroyed. And I'm about to break down exactly why this was perfect and why it changes the entire landscape of Monday Night Raw. Let's go back to the beginning, because to truly understand why this split was not only necessary but genius, we need to examine how this alliance even formed in the first place. Context is everything. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed weren't exactly natural partners. Think about it, Bron is the young, athletic phenom with wrestling royalty in his blood. He's the Intercontinental Champion, the face of Raw's future, the guy WWE is clearly building the brand around. He's cocky, confident, and carries himself like he knows he's destined for greatness. Bronson Reed, on the other hand, is the 300-plus-pound wrecking ball from Australia who spent his entire career fighting for scraps. He was in NXT, got released during the pandemic cuts, went to the independents and proved himself, came back to WWE and had to claw his way back into relevance. This is a man who's been overlooked, underestimated, and disrespected his entire life. Quick question for the comments: did you predict this split was coming, or were you genuinely surprised? Their alliance formed out of convenience, not genuine friendship. They both had a common enemy in Seth Rollins, the established veteran who represented everything standing in their way, the old guard that needed to be toppled. So they joined forces, and for a few weeks, it worked. They dominated together. They beat down Seth multiple times. They looked unstoppable as a unit. But here's the thing about alliances built on mutual enemies rather than mutual respect: they're fragile. They only last as long as that common enemy remains the priority. And the cracks started showing almost immediately if you were paying attention. Remember 2 weeks ago when they both went after Seth backstage and there was that moment, that split second where Bron shoved Reed aside to get the final shot on Seth? Reed's face told you everything. The big man was not happy about being treated like a sidekick. Then last week, during their interview segment, when the interviewer asked who the leader of their alliance was, Bron immediately said me, while Reed looked like he wanted to rip the interviewer's head off. The interviewer quickly moved on, but that tension was palpable. The commentary team give credit to Michael Cole and Corey Graves, they've been brilliant at planting those seeds. Little comments like "you have to wonder how long Reed will be content playing second fiddle to Bron," or "these two have been effective together, but can it last? They've been telling us this was temporary." Drop a comment: what was the first sign you noticed that this partnership was doomed? Now let's talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw, because the execution of this angle was masterclass. The show opened with Bron Breakker coming out for a promo. The Intercontinental Champion was in full peacock mode, strutting around, talking about how he's the one who ended Seth Rollins' momentum, how he's the most dominant champion on Raw, how he's the future of WWE. Notice anything? Every sentence started with "I not we." That's storytelling, baby. Bronson Reed came out to join him, and immediately you could feel something was off. Reed wasn't smiling. He wasn't playing to the crowd. He was just standing there, staring at Bron with this intense, unreadable expression. Bron continued his promo, and he made a fatal mistake. He said, and I quote, "Bronson Reed has been a valuable asset to my rise to the top. He's been useful in helping me achieve my goals." Valuable asset. Useful. Not partner, not ally, not equal. Useful. You could see Reed's jaw clench. His fists tightened. But Bron was so caught up in his own ego, he didn't even notice. Bron kept talking about his Intercontinental Championship reign, about his future World Championship aspirations, about how no one on the Raw roster can stop him. And Reed just stood there, a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Finally, Reed grabbed the microphone from Bron's hand. The crowd popped because they sensed something big was about to happen. Reed looked Bron dead in the eyes and said, "Valuable asset? Useful? I'm not your weapon, Bron. I'm not your muscle. I'm a monster who decided to tolerate you for a while." Oh snap. The crowd went nuts. Bron looked genuinely surprised, which was perfect. His character is so arrogant that he genuinely didn't think Reed would ever challenge him. Question for discussion: do you think Bron genuinely didn't see this coming, or was he purposely pushing Reed's buttons? Bron tried to laugh it off at first, like, "Come on, man, we're partners. Don't be so sensitive," but Reed wasn't laughing. Reed stepped closer, and you could feel the energy in the arena shift. This wasn't a friendly disagreement, this was about to get ugly. Bron's demeanor changed. He got right back in Reed's face and said, "You want to do this? You want to throw away everything we built? Fine, but remember you needed me. Without me, you're just another big guy who'll fade into obscurity." That was the point of no return. Reed's eyes went dark. And then bam, headbutt. Reed smashed his forehead into Bron's face. The Intercontinental Champion went down. The crowd erupted. But Reed wasn't done. Oh no, he was just getting started. Reed picked Bron up and threw him into the corner. He started laying in those clubbing forearms. Boom, 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 each shot echoing through the arena. Bron tried to fight back, but Reed is 300 pounds of angry Australian beef. He was relentless. Reed whipped Bron across the ring and hit a devastating clothesline that turned Bron inside out. The champion was in serious trouble. Officials started running down to stop it, but Reed wasn't having any of it. He shoved officials aside like they were children. Let me know in the comments, have you ever seen Bronson Reed this fired up and intense before? Here's where it got absolutely brutal. Reed dragged Bron to the corner and positioned him just right. The crowd knew what was coming. Reed climbed to the second rope, all 300 plus pounds of him. He looked down at Bron with this look of pure hatred and jumped. Tsunami. The massive splash connected flush. Bron's body convulsed from the impact. The crowd was losing their minds. Holy s chants broke out. But Reed still wasn't done. He climbed back up. Another tsunami. The referee was trying to call for the bell, trying to get Reed to stop, but the monster wasn't listening. He had years of frustration, years of being overlooked, years of being treated like a tool instead of a star, and he was taking it all out on Bron Breakker. A third tsunami. At this point, multiple officials were in the ring, trying to physically pull Reed away. Security flooded the ring. It took 12 people to finally restrain Bronson Reed. 12. The visual was stunning. Reed being held back by a wall of humanity, still trying to get at Bron, screaming, "I'm done being disrespected. I'm done." Meanwhile, Bron was lying in the ring, barely moving, EMTs rushing to check on him. The show went to commercial with that image, Reed being escorted up the ramp, Bron being stretchered out. That's how you create a moment. That's how you make people talk. Comment your reaction, what went through your mind when Reed hit that third tsunami? When Raw came back from commercial, we got backstage footage of Bron being loaded into an ambulance. His face was busted open, whether from the headbutt or the tsunamis, we couldn't tell, but he looked messed up. The medical staff was talking about possible broken ribs, concussion protocol, the works. Cut to another part of backstage where Bronson Reed was in Adam Pearce's office. Pearce was furious. "What the hell were you thinking?" Reed just stood there, zero remorse on his face, and said, "I was thinking that I'm tired of being treated like a second-class citizen. I'm tired of helping other people shine while I stay in the shadows." Starting today, Bronson Reed looks out for Bronson Reed. Pearce tried to suspend him, fine him, something, but Reed just walked out. "Do what you gotta do, Pearce. But you can't change what I did. And I'm not sorry." The conviction in his delivery was perfect. Throughout the rest of the show, we got updates on Bron's condition. Doctors were running tests. He was being evaluated for injuries. They were talking about him potentially missing weeks. And with every update, the gravity of what Reed did became more and more real. Later in the show, and this is where WWE really showed their creativity, we got a video package set to ominous music, showing every moment of tension between Bron and Reed over the past month. All those little moments we mentioned earlier, edited together to tell a complete story. The package showed Bron taking credit for their victories, Bron making decisions without consulting Reed, Bron treating Reed like hired help instead of an equal partner. It justified Reed's actions without excusing the brutality. That's nuanced storytelling. Final question before we continue, based on what you saw, who do you think was more in the wrong, Bron for his arrogance, or Reed for the vicious attack? Now let's analyze why this angle works so well from a creative standpoint. First, both characters come out stronger. Bron looks like a victim of a heinous attack, which will garner sympathy when he returns. He can come back with a vengeance story, looking to get revenge on the man who tried to end his career. That's compelling. Reed, meanwhile, is now established as an absolute monster. He's not just a big guy who does big moves, he's a dangerous human being who snapped. He's unpredictable. He's violent. He's must-see TV because you don't know what he'll do next. Second, this creates multiple storyline opportunities. When Bron comes back and you know he's coming back, the feud between these two is going to be personal. It's not about championships or rankings, it's about revenge. It's about pride. It's about settling a score. But it also opens up Reed to feud with other people. Maybe Seth Rollins comes back into the picture, looking to take advantage of the chaos. Maybe another babyface steps up to try and stop Reed's rampage. Maybe Reed goes after the Intercontinental Championship himself, targeting whoever holds it as a way to spite Bron. Third, it adds depth to both characters. Bron isn't just an unstoppable phenom anymore, he's someone who let his ego blind him to warning signs. He's someone who learned a painful lesson about respecting your allies. That's character development. Reed isn't just a monster, he's a monster with motivation. He's someone who's been used and discarded his entire career, and he finally said enough. Every wrestler who's ever felt underappreciated can relate to that. That's a character with layers. Drop your thoughts. Do you think this will make Bron a better character in the long run? Let's talk about the reactions this has gotten from the wrestling community, because they've been fascinating. Some fans are praising this as one of the best turns in recent memory. They're pointing out all the foreshadowing, the storytelling, the brutality of the execution. They're excited to see where both characters go from here. Other fans are complaining, as wrestling fans always do, saying it's too soon to break up the team, that they had more to do together, that WWE never lets teams stay together. To those fans I say, what more did they have to do together? They beat up Seth Rollins. They dominated for a few weeks. The story naturally evolved. Keeping them together longer would have been boring, would have been stale. Wrestling is about moments, and this created a massive moment. Sometimes you have to sacrifice long-term potential for short-term impact, and this was absolutely the right call. Some people are worried about Bron's momentum being hurt by this attack. Stop. Bron will come back more over than before. He'll have the sympathy of the crowd and the fire of revenge. If anything, this enhances his character. Others are celebrating Reed finally getting his moment. For years, people have been saying Reed is underutilized. Well, now he's got the spotlight. Now he's got a showcase. This is his breakout angle, and he nailed it. Question: which wrestler benefits more from this split, Bron or Reed? Now, let's do some fantasy booking and talk about where this could go, because the possibilities are endless. Scenario 1: Bron returns in 3 to 4 weeks, hellbent on revenge. He challenges Reed to a match at the next premium live event, maybe Survivor Series or Royal Rumble. It's a grudge match, no holds barred, falls count anywhere. These two destroy each other in a match that steals the show. Bron gets his revenge, Reed looks like a monster in defeat, both men are elevated. Scenario 2: Reed goes on a tear while Bron is out. He attacks everyone. He becomes Raw's most feared competitor. When Bron returns, he's not strong enough to face Reed alone, so he has to recruit allies. Maybe he teams with Seth Rollins. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. They take on Reed and whoever Reed recruits. Warfare. Scenario 3: Reed uses this momentum to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. He goes after Gunther or whoever holds the title. Meanwhile, Bron's out with injury, desperate to get back, watching Reed achieve what they both wanted. When Bron returns, he's not just fighting Reed for revenge, he's fighting him for the top spot on Raw. Scenario 4: this becomes a three-way rivalry. Reed and Bron's feud draws in a third competitor, maybe Sheamus, maybe Drew McIntyre, maybe someone else who's been waiting for their moment. It becomes a multi-man program where everyone is fighting everyone. Chaos. Unpredictability. Ratings. Give me your fantasy booking in the comments. How would you continue this story? Let's also talk about what this means for the Raw landscape as a whole. With Bron potentially out for a few weeks and Reed now operating as a solo act, the Intercontinental Championship picture is wide open for other storylines. Maybe someone cashes in on Bron's absence. Maybe a new contender emerges. Maybe there's a tournament. The possibilities create fresh matchups. The main event scene is also affected. Reed is now a credible main eventer. You can put him in the ring with anyone and it feels important. That gives Raw more flexibility in booking. The tag team division indirectly benefits too. With one of Raw's most dominant teams now dissolved, other teams can rise up and claim that spot. New Day, Alpha Academy, whoever, they can fill that void. And let's not forget about Seth Rollins. Where does he fit into all this? Does he side with Bron against their common enemy? Does he sit back and let them destroy each other? Does he play them against each other for his own benefit? Seth's involvement adds another layer. Let me know, should Seth Rollins get involved in this feud, or should he stay away and let them settle it themselves? I want to give massive credit to both Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed for their performances in this angle. Bron's arrogance was perfect. He wasn't a cartoonish heel, he was a confident young champion who simply believed he was better than everyone. His dismissive attitude toward Reed felt real because it came from a place of genuine belief in his own superiority. Reed's intensity was off the charts. The man looked legitimately angry. His headbutt looked stiff. His tsunamis looked like they hurt. He sold the emotion of years of frustration boiling over. That's commitment to character. The agents who laid out that beatdown segment deserve credit too. The pacing was perfect. The escalation from verbal confrontation to physical violence to all-out assault felt natural. Nothing felt rushed or forced. The camera work captured everything beautifully. The close-ups on Reed's face showing his anger. The wide shots showing the carnage in the ring. The shaky cam when officials tried to pull Reed away, giving it that chaotic feel. Production was on point. And Michael Cole's commentary: Reed has snapped. Reed has completely snapped, added to the urgency and made it feel like a huge moment. Commentary can make or break a segment, and Cole delivered. Comment, what was your favorite aspect of this angle? The storytelling, the action, or the performances? Let's address some of the criticisms I've seen online, because I want to tackle them head on. This makes Bron look weak. No, it doesn't. Being attacked by a 300-pound monster hitting you with 3 finishing moves doesn't make you weak, it makes your attacker look dangerous. Stone Cold got attacked and beaten down constantly. Did that make him look weak? Of course not. Reed will get lost in the shuffle as a single star, based on what evidence? The man just had the most memorable moment on Raw in weeks. He's got more attention now than he's had in his entire main roster run. Stop being pessimistic. They should have waited until a pay-per-view for the split. Why? So fans have to pay to see the turn? This was a gift to the TV audience. This makes people tune in every week because they don't know when something big might happen. That's smart business. This hurts the Intercontinental Championship. How? Bron's still the champion. The title is now part of a personal feud when he returns. If anything, it makes the championship feel more important because it's attached to compelling storytelling. Every criticism I've seen is either short-sighted or based on outdated booking philosophy. WWE made the right call with this angle, and the proof will be in the ratings and crowd reactions going forward. One more question, what's the worst take you've seen online about this angle? Looking at the big picture, this angle represents everything that's right about Triple H's WWE. Stories that build over time. Foreshadowing that pays off. Characters with depth and motivation. Violence that feels real and has consequences. This is sports entertainment at its finest. Compare this to some other promotions again, not naming names, where turns happen randomly with no build, where teams split up for no reason, where attacks have no follow-through. WWE is showing how it's done. The vision hasn't just fallen, it's been obliterated. And from the ashes of that alliance, we're going to get 2 stronger, more compelling characters. We're going to get personal rivalries that make people invest emotionally. We're going to get must-see television every Monday night. Bronson Reed cutting all ties with Bron Breakker wasn't a betrayal, it was a liberation. It was a 300-pound monster declaring his independence and demanding the respect he's deserved all along. And whether you're cheering for him or against him, you can't look away. Bron Breakker's vicious beatdown wasn't the end of his story, it was the beginning of his revenge arc. When he comes back, he's going to be more motivated, more dangerous, and more determined than ever before. This is wrestling. This is storytelling. This is why we watch. Drop all your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team Reed or Team Bron? Do you think Reed made the right call? How do you want to see this play out? Let's have a real discussion. And smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Subscribe for more in-depth wrestling analysis, and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss what happens next in this incredible rivalry.